All right. We're recording this Wednesday, October 22nd. The 49ers practice participation report just came out. Brock Purdy was officially limited once again with the toe injury. And we'll get to some of the other injuries. Bryce Huff, since the last time we potted, has been ruled out for the next couple of weeks at least with a hamstring injury. We'll dive into all that as well and what that means for the 49ers defense going into their Week 8 matchup with the Texans. But I don't think Brock Purdy is going to play again this week. The nature of the reporting on Sunday Night Football about how basically a false step, like a misstep, like a literal stepping the wrong way could set Purdy back to square one with his rehab, makes me think that the 49ers are going to ride this out as long as humanly possible. And now you're sitting at 5-2. You have 3 5-2 teams in your division. You have a Texans team coming up that has not been great. And you have some games that I think when you circle them on the schedule, you consider them winnable, especially with the way Mac Jones has been playing, with how the run game looked last week. I don't think they're gonna rush Purdy back, particularly against a very good Texans pass rush.
Yeah, I'm with you in that. I think they're gonna exercise as much caution as they can because, like you said, with their record, they're afforded that opportunity. And I don't know, listening to the reporting, it doesn't sound like Brock Purdy is anywhere comfortable to the point where he's not gonna re-aggravate it or aggravate it. He's just that it feels like he's at a place where he could aggravate the injury at any point. And I'm starting to think if he aggregates it again, it might be, time for surgery, season over, see you in 2026.
Right.
And so for me, I wouldn't be surprised if they wait even 2 more weeks to get Purdy back in the mix, because you have Houston this weekend on the road. That's a turf game. You have artificial turf the next week at the Giants. And we know
the worst playing surface in America.
Yeah, we know how much the 49ers loathe the playing surface at MetLife Stadium in the Meadowlands. But then you have, I think it's 5 straight games on natural grass after that. So you host the Rams, you go to Arizona, you host Carolina, you go to Cleveland, and then you host Tennessee after a bye week. It kind of feels like we're going to go. I mean, this is just me speculating entirely, but it feels like it's going to be at least 2 weeks until Brock Purdy comes back to where he can play a football game and not worry about aggravating the injury and worry about losing his season in its entirety, right? And I think what Mac Jones has done for the 49ers is it affords you time. It makes it so you don't have to rush him back because you feel like you could beat Houston on the road without Brock Purdy, and you feel like you could beat the Giants on the road without Brock Purdy. So there isn't necessarily a rush to get him back. What will be interesting is, if and when he comes back, if he's not sharp, then what is the tolerance for Brock Purdy getting acclimated back to football? How much are you willing to put up with? Because, if he plays like he did against the Jaguars, I don't know that Brock Purdy necessarily gives you a better chance to win than Mac Jones at this point. And that's entirely because Brock Purdy is hurt and Brock Purdy doesn't have the reps under his belt to be in a rhythm in the same way that Mac Jones does. And I think Brock Purdy is a much, much better player, all things being equal, including health. But what's going to be interesting to see is if Brock Purdy's not super sharp when he comes back and it looks like that Jaguars game, then Kyle Shanahan's kind of got a tough decision to make because, this is the 49ers are currently the number 2 seed in the NFC. The NFC West is super tough with the Rams and Seahawks both at 5-2. So at some point, this decision could get really, really difficult. And obviously the 49ers quarterback situation in the Bay Area tends to draw some attention and tends to get talked about. So it'll be a really interesting situation if Brock Purdy comes back and doesn't play MVP candidate Brock Purdy like we saw a couple years ago.
Yeah, man. I think, I don't know, how many weeks do you give him when you say like getting reacclimated? How many games before you're like, okay, this is just not tenable?
I mean, I guess it kind of depends on like the pain threshold. Like if he's playing through pain, I have a much lower tolerance for Brock Purdy trying to tough it out. If he's pain free and it's just like, yeah, that was kind of rough, but like still getting probably a week or two, or probably 2 weeks at least,
Mm-hmm.
I should say. But if he's playing through pain and he's playing poorly, then it's like, all right, we're probably just going to stick with Mac until you're not in pain anymore, which might just mean the rest of the season.
Yeah, and it kind of, and I guess it depends a little bit too on when he does come back, what are they in the mix for? If they lose their next two, where, okay, now they're just fighting for a wild card spot down the stretch, I think that changes it a little bit. But if they're in a spot where, let's say Purdy is coming back week 10 and the 49ers are 8-2, where they look like they have a shot at the 1 seed despite all of this. I don't, if Purdy comes back one game and looks bad, and then looks bad in the next one, and all of a sudden you're 8-4. I don't know how you don't go back to Mac Jones at that point.
Yeah.
Unless they've just decided, oh, Brock Purdy's the franchise quarterback and he's going to be the starter no matter what. But given what we've seen from Mac Jones and the different ways they've been able to win games with Mac Jones, like I said, I'm of the belief, and I think you are too, as you alluded to earlier, at some point late in the season, playoff games, when things break down, you need your quarterback to a little bit be able to improvise and make a play outside of structure. And I think right now, Mac Jones is just running the shit out of Kyle Shanahan's offense. Mm-hmm. I think it is very much the criticism of Brock Purdy was always, it's just point and shoot. He's being told where to throw the ball and he throws it there. It kind of feels like that's a little bit what Mac Jones is doing. Now, what happens when a very good defensive coordinator and a very good defense take that away in the postseason? How does your quarterback respond? And that's where I think Brock Purdy becomes valuable. But if if Purdy comes back and you're sitting at 8-2 and he loses the next two games and you're 1-3 with Purdy under center and 8-1 with Jones under center, 7-1, whatever, that's dicey. And I don't know how you keep a locker room or you maintain your credibility if you keep rolling Brock Purdy out there in the name of, well, he's the franchise quarterback, even though he's been outplayed by the guy sitting behind him. That's obviously all hypothetical. I'm throwing out.
Yeah. I also wonder though, over this stretch, like how well is the defense playing? Right? Because is what we saw against Atlanta sustainable, I think is a fair question, because not every, like obviously they're playing on the road the next 2 weeks. They're not going to have the emotion associated with, Fred Warner being in a suite and like that was kind of a unique circumstance in terms of like, all right, first game without Fred, like we all have like a heightened sense of awareness to that, and we're all playing balls out. Like you can't always play like that every week.
Right.
And I think bringing it on the road is especially challenging in the NFL when you have, a 17-game schedule. So if the defense doesn't play like it did against Atlanta, and it's more of the unit that we thought it might be, which is kind of just like in the middle of the pack, which might punch above its weight some weeks, might, get gashed other weeks against better quarterbacks, then like, how does that change what you need from your quarterback position, right? Like if you don't have a bunch of confidence in the defense and you really need your quarterback position to elevate the offense and help you win games in a scenario where you're going to have to go score 34 points to win a game, then that changes the way you view things. But if you're like, yeah, our defense is, we feel great that they're going to limit the opponent to 17 or fewer points, then maybe you can feel more comfortable rolling with Mac Jones. Sure. Right? Because, our defense is playing at this level to where we don't need to absolutely light it up, so we don't feel the need to rush Brock Purdy back. But if the defense does start to get lit up, maybe starting Sunday against Houston, then maybe you have to think about it like, man, we need more offensively. We need to get Brock back as soon as we can. And so it's, that'll be interesting to see. Like, I think it's I think it's a really difficult decision for Kyle Shanahan, but I think at this point, with the way the season's gone, I think I trust him to make that decision if that's worth anything.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I don't think whatever they land on is necessarily going to be the wrong thing. But I also I'm interested to see over the next couple of weeks. Like Houston has a pretty good defense. What happens if Mac Jones turns it over twice and it goes 16 of 29 for 148 yards and two picks, but the Niners sneak out a win because their run game was really good again. And the same thing kind of happens next week where maybe Mac Jones plays better. Maybe he plays like he did on Monday where like it was fine, but like Christian McCaffrey kind of carried it. They needed less from Mac Jones. That's where I think if you're dropping Purdy into a situation where the run game's still cooking, I think that makes it a little bit easier than frankly it was against Jacksonville, where it was like, all right, hey, you're coming back from turf toe, now go do everything. That I think matters too, and I think it changes the calculus a little bit if Mac Jones, because the whole quarterback controversy thing was derived from Jones throwing for like 300 plus yards in back-to-back games and these game-winning drives and going on the road and beating the Rams in overtime and throwing for 1,000,000 yards in that game and getting Kendrick Bourne to 142 receiving yards in consecutive games. It's like, oh my God, Mac Jones is cooking. But then you see him against Atlanta, and it's like, oh, he's fine. This is kind of what the Niners need out of a quarterback. And it was just a really sharp reminder of what the Niners actually need from under center when their run game is working. And I think that if Jones isn't coming off multiple 300-yard games and comeback wins and all this stuff, it makes it a lot easier to make that decision.
Yeah,
with Purdy.
If you're pushing Brock Purdy back right now, it's obviously you have a higher ceiling with your offense, but there's more risk with that ceiling because the way the injury seems to be going, that he can make it worse at any point, and then you risk losing him for the season.
Mm-hmm.
And karmically, it just feels like any big injury the 49ers have, the worst case scenario can arise. And we haven't even talked about, Bryce Huff yet. Diamador Lenore's not practicing. Ricky Pearsall's still not back. So there are other injuries to factor into it too. But it's like the 49ers have been winning all these games regardless of these injuries. So do we just say, hey, the injuries don't matter? Or at some point, I feel like,
at some point they catch up.
I think that's probably like December, January. Like at some point, like you're just not going to win a playoff game because you just don't have your guys. Like
you just don't have enough
talent. That's kind of what this feels like. But until then, you can enjoy the ride watching a team that's like not really expected to do anything, punch way above its weight.
Mm-hmm. It is kind of obscene. So week 1, Purdy and Kittle and Juwan Jennings got hurt. And then week 2, Juwan Jennings got hurt again. And Kyle Juszczyk left that game with a concussion, but he came back the next week. Is that right?
I think so.
Right. Nick Bosa got hurt in week 4. It feels like, and then Warner, of course, is week 6. And then Bryce Huff in week 7. They can't. Pearsall was also week 4. They just can't get through, it feels like, a game. Even the Bryce Huff thing didn't come out till Monday. You watch it, it's like, oh, okay, cool. They for the most part got through that game, and then nope. And this pass rusher that was awesome and kind of took over the game at various points is now no longer available. It's like they're
you lose one of your best defensive players, Diamador Lenore. I don't know if he's going to be out this week, but he popped up on the injury report with a quad injury on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe by the time, people listen to this on Thursday, Lenore will be back, but it's also like this popped up on Wednesday and Shanahan said this injury happened on Sunday. It's like this, it just never ends with this team.
It's insane. And like you said, at some point, like it's like right now they're making it work and they're winning games and they're 5-2 and that's great. But At some point that's going to stop, and all of a sudden they're going to be 6-5, and Purdy's still out, and man, this Pearsall injury is taking a while. They need to start getting guys back, but to your point, like for right now, it's like, all right, this is gonna do the next man up thing and keep figuring out a way to win games. Luckily for their defense, the Texans' offense stinks.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a second. But first, I want to remind the good folks.
Yeah, please do.
That we are brought to you by Lamb Chops. SG Lamb Chops is the website. The fall line is out. I have this black knit sweater. It came in the mail, and it is like my new favorite thing. I cannot wait to wear it. Probably gonna wear it Friday night to the Kings home opener. I think.
Love that for you.
That's got to be the move. Super comfortable, very warm. Just like really, just it's an amazing sweater. The wife loves it. It's great stuff. And obviously, we have the Candlestick Chronicles merch over at sglambchops.com. Also,
let's go.
I guess you can look at if you're on our YouTube channel, you can see the back. We have the Candlestick Chronicles word script on the back of the shirt with the Lamb Chops logo. You have the subtle CC logo on the front. Very well priced, very fairly priced. Really great stuff. Obviously, you can use Candlestick20, the promo code, to save 20% off your order, which makes this all very, very affordable. So please buy up all of the Candlestick Chronicles merch before it's gone, and rock it to a 49ers game. Post pictures on social media. Do all of those things. Shout out to our friends at Lamb Chops. Lamb Chops, join the herd. We're also brought to you by Prize Picks. Kyle, you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. All right, Thursday night, it is the Vikings of Minnesota traveling to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. I have Kamani Vidal, fewer than 54.5 rushing yards. The fact that I couldn't pronounce his name correctly would indicate he might not be a guy that the Chargers are super pumped to be giving carries to, given their injuries at the running back situation. I have Jordan Mason, our old friend, more than 54.5 rushing yards for the Vikings. Justin Jefferson, demon play, more than half of a rushing or receiving touchdown. He hasn't gotten in the end zone, I think, since week 1.
Wow.
So he's due.
Yeah.
He's due. Ladd McConkey, numbers have not been great for Ladd recently. I'm going fewer than 55.5 receiving yards. Jordan Addison, another demon play, more than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. If I hit all of these with the flex play, it is a 23x multiplier, which we love. And obviously with the flex play, you don't have to win all of them, or you don't have to hit on all those picks, I should say. You can still get a little cash if you get 4 or 5 or even 3 of 5. So went all power plays last year. A lot of big swings, a lot of misses. Yeah. But I've hit on three lineups in a row on Prize Picks with the flex play, so we're enjoying that a lot this year.
Yeah, like my one quibble with this lineup is that you're relying on whatever guy is playing quarterback for the Vikings to throw 2 touchdowns. I'm not sure I love that.
Well, Carson Wentz, former MVP, NFL MVP candidate. We're
10 years ago.
So make sure
I love that. You're absolutely right. Go ahead.
Make sure you download the Prize Picks app today and use code Candlestick to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Candlestick to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
It is good to be right. The NBA season has begun, and Prize Picks, as they are wont to do, had Steph Curry at half a point for an NBA opening night special. So I threw that in the lineup, and then Luka Doncic. I went more than 48 points, rebounds, and assists against the Golden State Warriors. He finished with 64.
And he had 47 points?
I was right, and it was good to be right.
It's always good to be right on
that. It was great. I loved it.
I
saw Luka had a damn near triple-double in the first half. I was like, awesome, I'm coasting tonight. And Steph Curry hit more on half a point. Felt good about that one.
He did. Very generous of Prize Picks to do that, and that's just what Prize Picks does.
Yep.
They help the players.
Favorite
out.
way to watch sports.
So you had mentioned the Texans are not very good. They're 2-4. Their 2 wins this season have
Yeah.
come against Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans, who have not had a good season so far.
Who are cheeks.
Yes, I think that's the official term.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to Baltimore and beat the Ravens, not with Lamar Jackson playing quarterback, but with backup Cooper Rush playing quarterback.
Yeah, beat the hell out of them.
Beat them 27-12. Those are their only 2 wins.
No, it was more than that. It was like 44 to 10.
Sorry, that might have been yeah. You're right. It was 44-10. I don't know where that came from. Oh, I think I was first down. I was looking at the wrong box. Anyway,
I love a bit where we just randomly throw out scores. Like, yeah, the Niners beat the Falcons 38-4 last week.
Yeah. So yeah, like I think DeMeco Ryans is a good coach. I think they have a good defense. I think the numbers defensively, particularly against the pass, are really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think the personnel on offense stinks. I think Nico Collins might be out. The offensive line is a mess. So at least if you have to start Robert Beal and Sam Okuwano at defensive end, you're not going up against world beaters along the Texans' offensive line. It might be the worst offensive line in the league. You Google the Texans and you try to do a little bit of research before the game, before the podcast. And the first thing that comes up is DeMeco Ryans talking about how he's not going to fire his offensive coordinator this week. That's generally not the best sign for the direction of a franchise. So that's not to say the Niners should be heavy favorites going into Houston. I actually think that the Niners are slight underdogs. At least they open the week as slight underdogs from a betting perspective. But I don't know. I think if you're the 49ers, you should feel pretty good about this game. It's obviously you're going on the road in the NFL. That's never easy. But when you look at Houston, it's just really hard to find anything, maybe aside from their pass defense, that you feel great about. And even then, like you might not need to pass for 300 yards given the way their offense is playing. So you might feel good about beating a Texans team like that in a low scoring game, given how much their offense has struggled.
Yeah, the question I guess I have, and we can explore this more on the preview pod tomorrow, but is the Texans' offensive line being bad? Does that mean the 49ers are going to have success getting after the quarterback, given that Sam Okuwano and Robert Beal look like they're starting defensive ends? Or are the Texans looking at this like, hey, this is our opportunity to get our offense back on track because we're going to be able to block these guys?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's where it's going to be up to Robert Saleh and I think he did a great job of this against the Falcons of just mixing up, okay, going to rush 4, gonna send an extra rusher or 2 and then back off. Like, I think he did a great job of being creative with his blitzes and disguising those and timing them well. I think he's going to have to pitch a perfect game basically again on against Houston. Because God loved Sam Okuwano and Michael Williams and Robert Beal. They're not great at just lining up and beating an offensive lineman and getting home.
Yeah. Yeah, so Nico Collins is dealing with a concussion, so we don't know what his status is. Obviously, Diamador Lenore not practicing. Like, if Nico Collins plays and Diamador Lenore does not, I think that might tip the scales pretty dramatically, because I don't know that the 49ers can necessarily match up man-to-man against Nico Collins, even as bad as the Texans' offensive line has been, and not allow and prevent Nico from having a big game, right? Like, I think that's have we gotten a Renardo Green? Okay, Renardo Green did return to practice. He was He was a limited participant Wednesday after leaving the game on Sunday, but still you're looking at basically your top 2 corners banged up. So the Nico Collins situation will be worth keeping an eye on for sure. If the Niners have their top 2 corners and there's no Nico Collins in that game, then I think you have to feel really good about it from just being able to from the perspective of just being able to slow them down.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Nico Collins is back and the Niners are missing their 2 corners, I think it would be a really difficult ask for Darrell Luter to go slow down Nico Collins. And
agree.
the 49ers, can I just think that would be a really tough spot.
Be a tough matchup for him for sure. Hey, Darrell, go get Nico. And that's the other place that Robert Saleh is very, very good. Like Drake London was, particularly in the second half, basically a non-factor. Darnell Mooney in the second half is basically a non-factor, and that's partially because of the pass rush. But I think there were plenty of times that Michael Penix was sitting in the pocket and there was nowhere to throw it because the 49ers are being so sound in their coverages. So that's the other way. And like I said, when I think Robert Saleh's got to pitch a perfect game, I know the players have to go and execute. But when you're this beat up and you're running out guys like Sam Okuwanu, who are probably rotational players on a good team, Robert Beal has not looked like an NFL player in his career so far. When you're rolling out guys like that, you need to lean heavily on your coaching, and that's what I think Sunday's ultimately going to come down to.
Can I
At
go
least
full?
It seems like it's going to be a Robert Saleh versus Texans offensive coordinator type of matchup.
Can I go hyperbolic football podcaster guy?
Yeah, and then I have a question.
This is the week you need Mykel Williams to show up.
Yes.
The 11th overall pick, what's he have? 1 sack?
Cook his ass.
Good against the run? Awesome. Nobody cares if you're good against the run in the NFL. You're without Nick Bosa. You're without Bryce Huff. It's time for the 11th overall pick to actually do something.
Man, that's a great take.
And
I know you're being hyperbolic, guy, but like that's a great take. That's just the right take. We keep saying Sam Okuwanu and Robert Beal. It's like, nah, you have the fucking number 11 overall pick. Go sack the quarterback.
It would be like, this is the opportunity for Mykel Williams to like, hey, go like go have a couple sacks on third down. Like that's kind of, and this isn't. This
I love
is
how we're
not
saying
me.
this like it's hella easy. Like, why don't they just run the Mykel Williams gets a sack play?
Yeah, they should do that way more. I don't get it. Come on, Bob. No, but in all seriousness, like you would think against that offensive line, this is the spot for Mykel Williams to have a game from a pass rushing perspective, which he hasn't had yet. And I was clearly joking when talking about Mykel Williams. Like, I think he's been good. He's obviously been much more effective as a run defender than a pass rusher, which I think we expected coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's been even better against the run than we expected.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, for somebody who drafts 11th overall midway through his rookie season, like, you'd feel a hell of a lot better in this game if you knew Mykel Williams was going to give you a couple sacks on third down.
Yep.
Than if, the 49ers had one of those games like they had against Tampa where Baker Mayfield's sitting back there clean all game and can just pick you apart. Like, the 49ers aren't going to win that way.
I agree. Yeah, like it's not a referendum on Mykel Williams as a player, but man, you'd really like the number 11 overall pick to step up here.
Yeah.
That's I'll just be less loud about it. It's right though. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can push the rest of our Texans deep dive. I know that we've kind of been on this, oh, well, you can't make a trade now because you're probably not going to the Super Bowl without Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. But at what point are you sitting and going, all right, maybe not a Super Bowl, but we're 7-2 and we're kind of figuring it out. And man, I'm just going to pick a name. I'm saying this name, but it could be a different, if you don't like this name, pick a different name. Trey Hendrickson might push us into that conversation because we've gotten to 7-2 without him. And again, maybe your version of that is Arden Key. Maybe it's Max Crosby. Maybe it's something like that. But I was very much in the, you don't make a trade because they're going to lose a couple here and all this team's going to be, but like they're 5-2. I think at some point you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not trying to push some amount of chips in to help your defensive line specifically this season.
It's tough because you're right.
Yeah, I'm just dying over here. It's good.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're okay before I
barely
let off this super explosive take.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I'm gonna mute myself before I make another noise like that on the pod again. Holy Christ.
I don't think I'm giving up a first or second round pick for this version of the 49ers. I think if you can get, I don't know, like, I don't even know. I just looked up Bradley Chubb's contract. He's got basically, he'll have a $19.5 million cap hit next year if he's traded, and an $18.5 million cap hit the year after that. So 26, 27. You know, that's almost $40 million for a guy who's 30 and 31 with, you know, significant injury history.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like you'd probably have to give up a second or third for Kayvon Thibodeau. Like, I am much more in the camp of, like, keep your assets, hoard your assets, and just ride with what you got at this point, because I don't know. And if you can get Trey Hendrickson for a non-first round pick, I would do it. And maybe same thing for Max Crosby, but I just don't know how much money you can have tied up. You know, like, if you get Hendrickson, I don't know that you're signing him long term. Sure. And I don't know that you can pay 2 defensive ends.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably sticking with the idea that, yeah, if you can get somebody for a third pick or later, then that's my preferred avenue, because you're going to be bleeding talent at some point over these next few years, and you just need premium draft picks.
Yeah, for sure. The deadline is November 4th, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is after week 9, so you could be sitting at 7-2. I think I'm with you. I'm not shelling out a first or second round pick. But if you told me that Kayvon Thibodeau was available for like a third and a late round pick swap, I'm doing that immediately.
Yeah.
Like I would so rather punt a third round pick for a chance to be at least give the illusion of trying to compete this year, instead of just being like, "Well, sorry guys, no, you're going to keep winning. But hey, you know, we're not going to do anything to really bolster the roster because, like, we're really worried about, like, next year." Like, it's not, at some point, like I said, if you're 7-2, you have to go 4-4 basically to ensure a playoff spot down the stretch, and you're in the mix for the 1 seed halfway through the year. And man, that's a tough sell to me that's a tough ask. Tough sell to me to not make a deal.
I would be interested to know what it would cost to get Thibodeau,
I think.
Because the Giants, if you get him in 2026 on his club option. So you get him for the rest of this season and 14.7 in 2026. Presumably he'd want a new contract.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all. They can make that work. I'm sure they'd probably have to move some stuff around to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
But you could also potentially just trade him. Like, you could trade him in the offseason to a team that wants to pay him and wants to give him a long-term deal. I just don't know. Like, if you trade for Kayvon Thibodeau, do you sign him to, you know, $30 million a year for the next 4 or 5? That is what I don't see them doing. But I can see them renting him and then maybe trading him in the offseason, or seeing if, I mean, in the off chance that he'll play on his 5th-year option, then maybe you can take advantage of that. And then if you get if you have, you know, Mykel Williams, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Nick Bosa coming back off injury, that's not a terrible place to be. So, yeah, I would do that, but it might be that if the Giants do decide to sell, there might be a hot market for him, and you might have to give up. You know, I would probably do something like that for a second-round pick.
Yeah, because you do have him on that 5th year option. Confirming it is Thibodeau. Uh,
Thank you.
I the Tom Thibodeau thing really threw me for a loop because he was Tibbs
Hmm.
forever, and then everybody started calling him Thibodeau, and so now I don't know, but Football Reference says Thibodeau for Kayvon, so that's what I'm going with. Uh, the thing about paying him or what have you is if he lights it up for you this year, then yeah, maybe you have to move some things around. Maybe you have to uh, maybe you trade Brandon Ayuk to try and free up some money. But I think 49ers have been trying so hard to figure out their pass rush really since DeForest Buckner left. And if Kayvon Thibodeau comes in this year and plays really well, I think you go great, and you found a pass rusher and you gave up a 3rd round pick to do it, 2nd round pick to do it. I think you'd happily pay that guy and figure out where you have to trim elsewhere. Because this isn't a 31-year-old. He's 25 this year. Turns 25 in December.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if he doesn't light it
He
up,
has
then punt.
4 sacks in 14 games as a rookie, 11 and a half sacks in 17 games in 2023. Last year, 5.5 sacks in 12 games. This year, he has 2.5 sacks in 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I gotta know what color grade PFF gives him here.
I'm gonna
I'm
go
signed out
with.
of my PFF account. I'm not going through the rigmarole of signing, and that's insane. You don't want me to
Oh,
remember a password? Fuck out of here, please.
we have it up here. Hold on.
Oh, nice.
Let's
Oh, I
let's.
had my password saved. Come on.
All right, for the season, we have a pass rush grade. It looks like a dehydrated yellow.
Oh, that
Um,
is not championship hydration there.
Overall, you have kind of a darkish yellow greenish grade for defense overall. 22
Hmm.
pressures in 253 pass rush attempts. Um,
Don't love the missed tackle rate, but he does have
mhm.
15 run stops this year,
Yeah, I think that's
which is
carrying
a
his
very
grade a
good
little
number
bit.
for him.
Yeah,
I
I don't
think you
know.
could get Kayvon Thibodeau for like a 4th round pick.
I would be off. I would be fine with that.
And
I
especially
just
if you can get him and if you can figure out a way to get him to take one of those like Diamador Lenore contracts or Dre Greenlaw contracts, or maybe you wind up getting him at a really nice price for a couple of years.
Oh, you mean yeah. Sorry. I thought you meant you were trading Lenore. I was like, no, no, no. You
Yeah,
probably
so what I want to do is trade all the 49ers good players and
Yeah,
then pay Kayvon Thibodeau whatever you want.
if it were 2023 and the 49ers were blowing through everybody and they clearly looked like the best team in the NFC
Mm-hmm.
and they lost Nick Bosa for the season, then yeah, go get Hendrickson. Like if you are on a Super Bowl winning a Super Bowl trajectory,
Mm-hmm.
then you do that. I just don't like I feel like the injuries are just too much and at some point probably in the playoffs it's just going to come down to the fact that you just don't have enough guys. I think you can win games in the regular season, particularly given the 49ers schedule, but I don't think it's worth it to invest a first round pick in a pass rusher this year because I think you need more than just a pass rusher to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I also kind of wonder if we talk about expectations like internally. I think internally their expectation this year, given the amount of young players, was just get to the playoffs. And if you get the right matchups in the playoffs and your young players are developed and they play well and you wind up making a run, great. But if you just get to the postseason, get back there, they've set themselves up financially over the next couple of years to have some room to maneuver there. I think this year has always been about 2026 and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were, to your point, I think if they were fully healthy right now and they're playing this well and they're 5-2 or 6-1 or whatever it is, um, then I think that changes the calculus. I think that changes your expectation a little bit. But I think this year, given all the injuries, even though they're sitting at 5-2, I think internally they're probably still very much saying, all right, just make the playoffs. If we can overcome all this to make the playoffs, we'll be in a great spot going into 2026 and beyond. And I think the injuries have removed the potential for them to view 2025 as about 2025. And that's why Kyle Shanahan keeps saying that if they're going to make a trade for a player, it has to be someone that also helps them next year.
Mm-hmm.
And Kayvon Thibodeau fits that. Like, he fits that mold. But to your point, I don't think they're super interested in getting into a bidding war where they're giving up multiple second-round picks or a second and a third because they view those picks as valuable for what they're trying to build moving forward.
Yeah. God, I was looking at Niners cap sheet for this year and next.
As one does.
As one is want to do. I forgot that the Niners are paying $100 million in dead money this year.
Yeah, on purpose, though.
That's right. It's just a extremely wild thing. But next year, the dead money number goes down to 21.8 million.
Yeah.
So they go from the most in the NFL to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It looks like 8th as of right now.
8th most?
Yeah, 8th most dead money. Saints, 62 million in dead money next year, probably to not be very good, which is a tough scene. But yeah,
tough scene for the Saints. Hate to see it.
I think the Niners are going to make a move, but it might be that. So they have what, 2 games until the deadline, or is it 1 game?
2. Texans and Giants. Kayvon Thibodeau audition game.
Interesting. If they go 2-0, I could see them being kind of aggressive and just saying, "Hey, like let's show the locker room we have a little bit of faith."
I kind of wonder.
I don't think it's Trey Hendrickson, but I could see them being like, "All right, let's we're 7-2. Like we've just won back-to-back road games. Like let's shake things up a little bit."
Yeah, I'm with you. Trey Hendrickson is 30 and has a back injury.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like the opposite of what the 49ers are trying to do right now.
He sounds like a podcaster.
Who among us is not in their 30s with a back injury right now? No, man. I fast forwarded straight to hip, by the way. I skipped the back thing and just went right to hip problems. No, I kind of think aggressiveness is going to be adding a couple of maybe lower tier players. Where maybe they trade a 5th for somebody and then a 6th in next year's draft for somebody. And just try and kind of bolster their depth a little bit so it's not, Robert Beal and Sam Okuwano that they're leaning on.
Yeah.
Or not having to lean on those guys so much.
Or if Michael Williams has a couple sacks this week, you might not need to.
Would be about damn time. All right.
It's going to be really funny when that narrative starts. If he finishes the season with like 2 or 3 sacks.
Oh my God.
And it's be like, God, this guy's such a bust.
Could you have found a run stopper in the 2nd round? This is a team that needs higher ceiling players. And I love Michael Williams' floor, don't get me wrong. But after this year, I'm wondering where the ceiling is. Has he hit it already? That's not a bad thing, but I'd rather him hit that ceiling as the 70th pick, not the 11th. Oh my God, I'm so locked in. Let's fast forward to April. I'm fucking dialed.
He might be closer to Eric Armstead than we're anticipating.
Damn.
Anyway. No, but that was Armstead, obviously a very good player, proved to be super valuable to the 49ers, even though he was never a high sack total guy when he was early in his career, but that changed as time went on. Anyway, we'll have another podcast tomorrow about previewing the game.
Look into the nitty gritty of your Texans research. I'm really excited.
Yeah, just gonna dive into gap integrity and
how's their special teams? How are they on teams?
Yeah, we Gonna look into all
I'll
of
look
it.
into that. Yeah.
Are they shooting their hands fast enough?
Are
Anyway,
they shooting their hands?
subscribe, rate.
How do they
and
fire
review.
off the ball?
Subscribe, rate, review wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Get all the merch on Lamb Chop's website. Make sure you throw Candlestick into that search bar. The hoodie and the T-shirt will pop up.
You know where else you can? You know where else you can throw Candlestick into the search bar?
Cooperage?
At CooperidgeBrewing.com.
Bang bang.
Order a case.
Get that shipped directly to your door if you are of proper drinking age, 21 or up in California.
Hey Charlie. Hey Charlie, if you're listening to this, please.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Shout out to Al Roker.